What's up, guys? In this episode, we're gonna go over this brand new Moto B1, and let me tell you, I love this bike. All right, that's the end of the video. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. All right, guys, here it is, the Moto B1. This is what we're gonna be talking about today. I'm gonna talk about the riding experience that I've had while riding this bike for about the last month or so. We're gonna talk about the modifications that were done to the bike, and we're gonna talk about some of the things that you can do to make the bike even better. Let's put the camera on the tripod, let's go over it. Here we are, this is the Moto B1. If you're new to the electric dirt bike scene, you may or may not have heard of Moto, but check them out. They're doing something different than the other companies that I've seen in this space. When you go to the website, you can elect to buy just the rolling chassis. And by rolling chassis, I just mean the wheels, the frame, the plastics. The bike will look and come complete with the exception of a battery, a controller, and your throttle. So with the rolling chassis, it does come with a motor. The idea is if you have a battery, let's say you have a battery from another project or your Razor or something like that, you could use that battery in here. You could use a controller from a different bike, or if you wanted to use a specific type of controller, Moto isn't going to jack up the price for you to buy a bike with components that you plan to replace later down the road. So you can buy this bike as a rolling chassis, put the components in there that you want to put in there, and have the bike that you want right out of the gate. If you don't care about any of that, you can also come in here and you can buy the Moto battery. It's a 72 volt battery, it's 30 amp hours. And what I've done is in this bike, I'm running a Fardriver 72300 from EconicCycles, and thank you to those guys for supplying the controller in this build right now. Fardriver, some of the best bang for your buck you can get as far as the controllers go. And while I'm touching on controllers real quick, y'all, if you are new to the electric dirt bike scene, one of the great things about electric dirt bikes is the controller. The controller is kind of the brain of the bike. But if you have the bike like this and you want to let your 10-year-old ride it, you can go into the Fardriver app, pull up the app, and you can turn the bike down. Let's just say you want to ride it, Dad wants to ride it. You can go into the app, turn the app up, turn the battery power up, and give you more power. You can do all that from the app. That is a huge advantage, in my opinion, over a gas bike. You can get this bike and your kid or your family can grow into it, and you can adjust the settings and modify it as they get older and they progress in their riding. So just touching briefly, guys, on some of the characteristics of this bike. It's a staggered wheel set. It's a 12-inch rear. It is a 14-inch front. That front wheel is gonna give you a little bit more stability on the off-roads, and it's gonna give you some more ground clearance as well. Some of the things here, a hydraulic fork. My bike here has a Pro Taper bar. These bars are a little bit taller than the stock bars. For an adult, someone who's taller, gives you a little bit more leg room somewhere in here in the cockpit. The bike is set up in a way that it feels bigger than it actually is. So for a person my height, I'm about 6'5". No, not really, I'm only 5'10", just average white guy height. This bike makes it feel like it's bigger than it actually is, with the way that the foot orientation to my arms, where my shoulders sit because of the higher bars and the lower pegs. It's perfect. I love it. Moving on here, y'all. The bike comes with hydraulic pit bike brakes. It comes with a keyed ignition, on-off switch. And my key was on, probably want to keep that off. I've ripped the throttle on this one time, and the throttle and the bike was on, and that was no bueno. Moving on here, guys, the seat. If you notice here, my seat's a little tipped up here. Riding out here, I lost the screw down hold for the seat, but typically the seat would sit flat like that. The seat here is from Andrew Buchanan at Bolts and Bolts. This is a custom seat. I don't know, it's probably got 45,000 layers of foam in here, but it feels like a cloud when I'm riding on this bike. The charge port here on the right side. And the other upgrade that I did do to the bike is a 280 millimeter D&M rear shock. The shock that came on the bike was too lightweight for me. I'm about 200 pounds of pure chiseled granite, and that shock wasn't gonna hold up for my weight. So I went ahead and I bought the 280 millimeter shock. I will put a link in the description below if you're interested. One thing I do wanna make sure I let y'all know, and I will compare this bike to a RZR in case you are familiar with the size of a RZR, but you're not familiar with the size of this bike, just so you guys can get a comparison of the two. Something else worth mentioning, this bike has a T8F chain. The next iteration of these bikes are gonna come with a 35H chain. So the chain on the next bikes are gonna be a little bit beefier, a little stronger. The T8F chains tend to stretch a lot. So by the time you order yours and you get it, it'll probably have a 35H. Also too, the shock on the next bike that they're gonna be coming out with is going to be upgraded. So you probably won't have to buy an upgraded shock for your next purchase. So those are some of the high level details about my bike, the things I've done to it, the things you could do to yours if you decided to purchase one for yourself. I hope you guys can feel the passion in my voice when I'm talking about these things. I truly do love these electric mini bikes. They are so fun. They bring your family together. They bring your community together, and they don't cost a ton of money. I just want everybody to have the same feeling that I have when I'm riding these things with my family and my friends around our neighborhood. But anyway, enough blabbing. Sorry, I almost shed a tear there. Let's go ride this thing. Let's get a speed test. I'm gonna do some huge tricks for you guys. As you guys know, I am a huge wheelie fan. I'm probably one of the best wheeling guys on the internet. Woo. All right, I'm too scared to keep it up. I'm too scared to keep it up. Okay, so what? All right, y'all, here we are at the Voltron Watts secret location for testing mini bike speeds with the Moto B1, 72 volts, 30 amp hours, 80 amps continuous on the controller. Let's go, top speed. Woo! All right guys, 41.7 miles per hour on the phone GPS. Not bad. 200-pound adult, pure chiseled granite, like I said earlier. If your kid's on this bike, he's 60, 80 pounds, you probably squeeze a couple more miles per hour out of it. Let's go get it on the dirt and see what it can do. All right guys, here we are on the Moto B1 in the dirt. Just did the speed test, 41 miles an hour on the speed test. Pretty freaking good if you ask me. More than enough power out of this bike for an adult on these terrain here. Let's rip it a little bit. Woo. Pull that front wheel up. Ooh. Let's try this hill right here. Oh yeah. Easy money right there. Yep. I gotta say guys, out of the bikes that I've ridden that are pit bikes in the pit bike class, and I'll say like RZRs, Mototechs, the Moto, the E-Box, this is my favorite platform. The bike, like I said earlier, the bike feels bigger than it actually is because of the footing position. And also too, from the factory, this front fork is money. Super plush fork, coupled with the D&M rear shock that I upgraded the bike with. It's like riding on a cloud. Not to mention the custom seat on the bike. Oh, nope, not gonna make that. All right, we're back. So I think this bike is an ideal bike for somebody who may be a little bit taller, a little bit older, or if you wanted to, you could buy this bike and put smaller wheels on it. If you have a smaller kid, have this bike for a younger kid and eventually put the 12-inch, the 14-inch back on it as they get bigger and grow into the bike. You could also do that. This bike handles so well. and tighten my chain. And the fact, y'all, that this bike comes with actual pit bike brakes. So with speeds into the 30s, 40s, and 50s, I feel like with our weight as adults, we probably need to upgrade the pit bike brakes on our Razors to something like what this bike already has. The pit bike brakes, way better for stopping on the higher speed, more powerful bikes. The other day, I was racing the guy who had a Sur-on, and I was on this. We were going through this same trails with the Ride or Die crew, and I left them. I think this bike will keep up with Sur-ons all day, depending on the rider. A stock Sur-on, I say. Go up this hill right here. Yeah, this is gonna pop a wheelie in no time. And you know what else I've seen people do on these bikes? Since it's a bigger platform, might be more appealing for an adult, is put Supermoto tires on this bike. Supermoto is usually, or generally, a matching wheel set size, so either 12-12 or 14-14 front and rear, and then they put street tires on it. And it makes these bikes very capable little neighborhood commuters that are specific for road use, if that's more your style. She wants to go, boy. One of the things I always try to iterate to the audience, the viewer, is the beauty of these bikes in so many ways. The electric bike is what I mean by this. An electric bike, say you're going to the campground, throw it in the back of your car. You can set it on its side, it's not gonna leak any fluids, it's not gonna stink up your car. Electric, boom. Put it anywhere, put it back your Honda Civic. All right, also, if you're riding these bikes to a neighborhood, electric bikes, they don't make any sound. So in our group here in Austin, Texas, we have about 35 adults that all have these modified pit bikes, but we can ride at all hours of the night, all hours of the day, because they don't make any noise, and we're not pissing our neighbors off with a two-stroke out here brapping through the neighborhood. So neighborhood friendly. And I mentioned it earlier, the most important selling point to me is the adjustability and the upgradability of these bikes. I hate seeing people grow out of the bikes and then they end up on the curb, when the aftermarket scene for these bikes is growing every single day. And the fact that this bike comes as a rolling chassis and you can put in any kind of electronics package you want from the get-go, that's a huge selling point for a pit bike company, in my opinion. All right, y'all. If you found any use or entertainment in the video, be sure to like and subscribe. It does help the channel tremendously and doesn't cost anything. Have a great one, y'all. Bye.